this day we're gathered in your name, calling out to you. Your glory like a fire, awakening desire will burn our hearts with truth. You're the reason we're here. You're the reason we're singing. Open up the heavens, we want to see you. Open up the floodgates, a mighty river flowing from your heart, filling every part of our praise.
Good morning, everyone. Let's stand and we'll sing together.
Your presence in this place, your glory on our face. We're looking to the sky, descending like a cloud. You're standing with us now, Lord, unveil our eyes. You're the reason we're here. You're the reason we're singing. Open up the heavens, we want to see you. Open up the floodgates, a mighty river flowing from your heart, filling every part of our praise. Show us your glory. Show us your power. Show us your glory, Lord. Show us your glory. Show us your power. Show us your glory, Lord. Open up the heavens, we want to see you. Open up the floodgates, a mighty river flowing from your heart, filling every part of our praise. Open up the heavens, we want to see you. Open up the floodgates, a mighty river flowing from your heart, filling every part of our praise.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Grace Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Maria Markman and delighted to be worshiping with you today. I'm going to invite you all to take a seat for a moment as we begin today. A special welcome to any guests or visitors who are with us today. We are so glad to have you. We do invite you to fill out a welcome card, which should be in the pew rack in front of you, and place it in one of the woven baskets out in the narthex. That helps us make a connection with you, which we are eager to do. Another warm welcome to anyone who's watching online. We're glad that you have joined us. So our first announcement today has to do with the hot pink sheet in your bulletin. So everybody pull out your hot pink sheet. Next week, September 29th, is God's Work Our Hands Sunday. And it's another one of those special Sundays where we have one worship where we all worship together. So next week, our worship will be at 9 a.m. And after worship, following worship, we will be doing service projects, both here at Grace and out in the community. All of the service projects that are available for next week are listed on the sheet. And right now, I invite you to take a pen and either write, "I won't be here, can't participate" on the top and hand it in, or fill out right now where you and your family are willing and excited to serve. All of our service projects are intended to be intergenerational, meant for people of all ages and stages and abilities. And so there is something for everyone next week. So take some time, circle X the ones that you are interested in participating in. We have leaders already listed on there, and so if you are kind of curious about something and you wanted more information, the leaders are listed so you could ask. So I'm just going to give you a few seconds to fill that out, and then send them in towards the center where Pastor Joanna and our ushers will help pick those up. And wave if you need a pen. All right. I think that's enough time. I'm so excited for next week. It's one of my favorite Sundays of the year always, and so I'm looking forward to serving with all of you. I invite you to stand if you are able as we begin our worship today in the name of the triune God, Creator, Son, and Holy Spirit. Please join me in our prayer of the day. God who speaks to us, your word comes through dreams and visions, through the voices we least expect, through wonders and answered prayers, through silence and even through challenge. Speak to us again today and give us courage to share your word, even with those who will not want to listen. Amen.
Adults may be seated, and I invite any children who are with us to come forward at this time for a message with me.
May God give you eyes to see all that is good, all that is good. The courage for anything. May you be strong. May
friends. How are you today? Good. Have you ever received a gift that was super special to you? Anybody ever get a really special gift? Hannah, what'd you get? Do you remember? Can you not talk about it? Is it a secret? Oh, okay. That's okay. Yeah. Okay, a drum set? You wanted it for 2 years and you finally got it? Nice. Do you practice a lot? You don't know how to play, you just randomly do it, but one day you'll take lessons and stuff? Oh, nice. Do you know my husband's a drummer? That's not my husband, that's RD. He drums on Wednesday. Yeah, you've maybe seen him when you're here on Wednesday. Anybody else get a gift that was really special? No, not that you can think of. Today in our story, we meet a guy named Joseph. Do you guys remember Abraham from last week if you were here? Abraham. Yeah, some of you remember him. This is his great-grandchild. So Abraham had a son named Isaac and Ishmael, 2 sons. And then Isaac had 2 sons named Jacob and Esau. And then Jacob, who gets another name. Anybody have nicknames? He gets another name. His name is Israel. Kind of different. He has a son. Actually, he has 12 sons and a daughter. Woo, busy family. And Joseph is one of them. He's the second to youngest. And Joseph, in our story, gets a special gift. Yes. He wrestles with God. Yes, you are completely correct. In fact, that's how he gets his name. Israel means he wrestled with God and prevailed. My wrestling name when I was a kid was Mad Dog Bouchon. And maybe you guys, that's what my dad always called me. Mad Dog Bouchon and his sister Vivian. Anyhow, so Joseph gets this super nice coat. Some say it was multicolored. Some say it has long sleeves. But regardless, it was like a fancy coat that you wouldn't wear when you went working places. And in our story, he goes out. We skip a little portion of our story. We'll go from like, oh, they're jealous, and then he's looking for him in the field. Aliana and I will lead you through that. But he goes out in the field. His brothers are all working, and guess what? He's wearing his fancy coat. And guess how many of the brothers got a fancy coat like Joseph? 5? No, but good guess. None of them. Is that what you were going to say? None of them. How would you feel if your sibling got a really special gift and you didn't get it? Wah, wah. Would you feel sad? Have any of you ever felt jealous? Anybody ever felt jealous? Yes, come on. Oh, yeah, they're sad and they're mad and they're jealous. They have all the feelings. When I was a kid, my sister had a dollhouse and I loved her dollhouse. My dad made it for her. He carpeted it and wallpapered the walls and everything. I loved her dollhouse and I didn't have a dollhouse like it and I was jealous of it. You know why I didn't get one? Because I broke things. Wah, wah. Still true today. I'm a little bit klutzy. I break stuff. But when I was in 3rd grade, I think, my dad made me my very own dollhouse. And I loved it so much. But I was really jealous. And in fact, sometimes I was jealous of my sister a lot. She didn't break things like I did. She also was able to take care of her stuff a little bit better. I was a little bit of a mess. Shocking. I know. You guys are all gasping at that news. And so sometimes I didn't get the same things, and I was jealous, and it was really hard. And that's part of our story, is that Joseph's brothers were jealous. Their dad wasn't the most helpful. You know how my dad made me my dollhouse? Joseph's dad didn't one day go and buy all the brothers' coats. It led to problems. So my question is, when you are jealous, what do you do with those feelings? Anybody have strategy? Do you sometimes lash out and say mean and hateful things? Do you think that's what God wants us to do? No, we shouldn't do that. But sometimes we maybe do it, and that's why we need forgiveness. My daughter, one of my daughters has said, I still feel jealous. And so when I was younger, I used to say mean and hateful things. And now that I'm older, now I just get quiet because I need some time to process my jealousy. I think that is a really good idea, that we maybe get quiet and we just think about those feelings. And we can talk to people about them. We can say, have you ever felt jealous, Victoria? Yeah. Isn't it hard? Yeah, oh, I'm glad you understand. It's helpful to have people understand. And we can talk to God, and we can talk to other people, and we can share those feelings, and then we can try to move on from them, because God doesn't want us to feel like that. So, that's our story. Let's pray. Dear God, thank you for feelings.
Thank you for feelings,
Even hard ones.
even hard ones.
Help us to not let our feelings control us,
Help us not let our feelings control us,
but for us to act in love.
but for us to act in love.
In Jesus' name,
In Jesus' name,
amen.
amen.
All right, you can go to Kids Time with Mr. Will, or you can go back to your seats or wherever your adult would prefer for you to go.
May God give you ears to hear God's loving voice, God's loving voice, speaking all around you, all around, and deep inside.
The reading is from Genesis chapter 37, verses 3 through 8, verses 17b through 22, verses 26 through 34, and chapter 50, verses 15 through 21. Now Israel loved Joseph more than any other of his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he had made him a long robe with sleeves. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peaceably to him. Once Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him even more. He said to them, "Listen to this dream that I dreamed. There we were, binding sheaves in the field. Suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright. Then your sheaves gathered around it and bowed down to my sheaf." His brothers said to him, "Are you indeed to reign over us? Are you indeed to have dominion over us?" So they hated him even more because of his dreams and his words. Now we skip ahead here. The man said, "They have gone away, for I heard them say, 'Let us go to Dothan.'" So Joseph went after his brothers and found them at Dothan. They saw him from a distance, and before he came near them, they conspired to kill him. They said to one another, "Here comes this dreamer. Come now, let us kill him and throw him into one of the pits. Then we shall say that a wild animal has devoured him, and we shall see what we will become of his dreams." But when Reuben heard it, he delivered him out of their hands, saying, "Let us not take his life." Reuben said to them, "Shed no blood. Throw him into this pit here in the wilderness, but lay no hand on him, that he might rescue him out of their hand and restore him to his father." Then Judah said to his brothers, "What profit is it if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and not lay our hands on him, for he is our brother, our own flesh." And his brothers agreed. When some Midianite traders passed by, they drew Joseph up, lifting him out of the pit, and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. They took Joseph to Egypt. When Reuben returned to the pit and saw that Joseph was not in the pit, he tore his clothes. He returned to his brothers and said, "The boy is gone, and where can I turn?" Then they took Joseph's robe, slaughtered a goat, and dipped the robe in the blood. They had the long robe with sleeves taken to their father, and they said, This we have found. See now whether it is your son's robe or not." He recognized it and said, "It is my son's robe. A wild animal has devoured him." Joseph is without doubt torn to pieces. Then Jacob tore his garments and put sackcloth on his loins and mourned his son for many days.
And now we skip to the end of the story. Realizing that their father was dead, Joseph's brothers said, "What if Joseph still bears a grudge against us and pays us back in full for all the wrong that we did to him?" So they approached Joseph, saying, "Your father gave this instruction before he died. Say to Joseph, 'I beg you, forgive the crime of your brothers and the wrong they did in harming you. Now, therefore, please forgive the crime of the servants of God of your father.'" Joseph wept when they spoke to him. Then his brothers also wept, fell down before him, and said, "We are here as your slaves." But Joseph said to them, "Do not be afraid. Am I in the place of God? Even though you intended to do me harm, God intended it for good in order to preserve a numerous people, as God is doing today. So have no fear. I myself will provide for you and your little ones." In this way, he reassured them, speaking kindly to them. The word of the Lord. Thanks so much, Eliana. Great job. Please pray with me. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be pleasing and acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our God, our rock, and our Redeemer. Amen. Families are hard, aren't they? Like the biggest blessing and also complicated and messy at times. Right? Oh. This passage has in that first paragraph like this declaration of love. Israel loved and then hate, hate, hate. Love and hate, favorites, special gifts, and jealousy. Oh my goodness, don't you wish these stories were harder to relate to? It's easy to find ourselves or our families or someone we know in this story. Was there a favorite in your family? Were you the favorite? Come on, were you the black sheep? Is there a black sheep? Have you struggled with jealousy? In catechism last Wednesday night, we were playing a game of tag, and I had all these rules about where to stand and whatnot, and we were guarding like the music area, and all of a sudden I hear this big whoop, someone hit someone else, and I was like, oh my gosh, I never said don't hit anybody, but I thought that was a given. And then I looked, and it was a brother hitting his other brother. I was like, oh, it's your brother. And then one of the catechism leaders said, don't get your brother back until after catechism's over. She has 2 boys. I was like, I remember once my sister yanked down my swimsuit. I yanked down hers. She scratched me. I scratched her. To this day, she's still like, I was justified in scratching you. You pulled down my swimsuit. I'm like, you did it first. She's like, I was older. I'm like, oh my gosh. I probably have the most intense feelings about my sister than anybody in the entire world. Don't get me wrong, I love my sister, but she can make me so mad. She can tease like nobody else in the world and can bring up that stupid thing I did in 3rd grade, even now, and make me just feel as small can be. Oh. And at the same time, I always wanted to be like her, which was super infuriating as well. The best part was when my sister would start teasing me, and I kind of blew it off, and then she started to do her manipulative stories to my mom, and my mom was like, your sister's manipulative. I'm like, I've said this my whole life. No one ever listened to me. Ha-ha, you know what it feels like now. Families are hard and complicated. Oh. And right here, we pick up in this complicated, messy story that starts with love, and yet hate comes so soon after it. These intense emotions, these intense feelings are connected. Most of us don't hate people that we're not in relationship with. We're indifferent about them. There's a lot of apathy. But people who can hurt us are people usually we know well, and they know us. And so love and hate are really close together in that feeling wheel. It's hard when people we know get special attention from a beloved parent or a teacher or a friend, and we're going, wait, what about me? And then we have these feelings that make us feel bad about who we are. And they make us feel small, and they can last for a really, really long time. My great-grandmother, Bertha, hated her brother-in-law, Axel, so much that when she died, she made them dig him up and move him to the other side in the cemetery so she didn't have to lie next to him for all eternity. This is a true story, people. Axel still has nobody on his left-hand side. I know. The Bible doesn't really tell us what to do with these feelings of emotions, but this story is familiar if we're honest and easy to relate to, but hopefully we don't take it to the extreme that Joseph and his brothers took it to. I love that the stories in the Bible are something we can relate to. Sibling rivalry, hatred, difficulty, the messiness of families. And then I wonder about what God is thinking when God chose this family to be the chosen family. This family that all the people of Israel would come out of, right? The 12 tribes of Israel come from this messed up family. There is hope for us yet, people. But I wonder if maybe God just knew what God was up to, that there really isn't any family free from difficult scenarios. God knew that the story of our faith needs to be one we can relate to, one that we can share in the feelings of disappointment, of jealousy, of both love and hate. This story makes my small feuds with my sister feel like nothing. And if God can work through them, God can certainly work through us. The story of Joseph and his brothers and his complicated family is really a novel. We skipped over 10 chapters to get to the end, which, is kind of hard to do in a sermon. But here we are. We skipped over things like Joseph's time in Egypt, his time in jail, the interpretation of the Pharaoh's dreams. We skipped over him helping the Egyptian economy by storing grain during a time of plenty and then giving it out during a time of famine. Things that maybe you could write a musical to, something like that. And we go from Joseph being the favored loved one in the special robe to being the one who's thrown in a pit, who goes from up here to down here, all over the place. And that special robe becomes a symbol of no longer chosenness, but of death. And there is a death that happens, a death in this relationship, a death of the way things were, and hopes and dreams die, and yet they also live on. And we skip to the end of this story. When the brothers eventually come to Egypt, they have to grovel at his feet, and then they are reunited. And we even skip where Israel, or Jacob, same name, same person, different names, dies. And we get to this part where they are reunited in chapter 50. But we get to skip over those years of separation and pain. Do you ever wonder, did these people get a therapist? And if they did, can you imagine what that bill would be like? Cha-ching! I'll take your whole family on. I got this. No, you got to separate. You shouldn't do that way. I'm not in therapy, but you are. That's not the way to do it, right? Not the whole family. But who would you want of the story? That's so complicated. Miss Dr. Christine's a therapist over there. Most of us don't just get to skip over the mess. In fact, oftentimes we live in it too long. We live with that brother or sister or family member who has hurt us and not showing up. We live with those feelings of jealousy and resentment and anger and pain. That person who maybe took the family inheritance and then never talked to us again. Or the people who just kind of pull themselves apart, and we live with those feelings for a really long time. I've been around tables with people as they are planning the funerals for loved ones and their siblings who haven't seen each other in years. And they're worried about a sibling showing up. My own family, I know an aunt we hadn't seen in years showed up for my grandpa's funeral, and there was a rift, and it was painful and hard. There is some relief that happens in that separation. I mean, sometimes we do need those years apart, and I would think that maybe it was helpful to not have to deal with the day in, day out jealousy for Joseph and his brothers that they had for so long, and the miles apart potentially helped them move forward. And yet, when we get to the end of this story, I can't help but notice the weeping. First, Joseph weeps. Then his brothers weep, and they weep together. Perhaps they are weeping over the death of their father. Perhaps they are weeping over the brokenness of their family and how messed up this whole situation is. Maybe they were weeping over the pain and anguish they caused each other. And part of me hopes that they were weeping because they were able to see for the first time the hurt that they shared. And perhaps they had some unity here. Their father was the catalyst for the pain that was caused, but he also becomes the catalyst for the admission of guilt and the forgiveness that is achieved. Please forgive your brothers of this crime, is what they say. Now, we don't know if Jacob actually said those words, or if the brothers just said that he said them so that they would have themselves covered. But regardless, this is the first time that they admit their own guilt, that they admit that they did something wrong, and they remember the pain. They remember that they threw their brother into a pit and the strain of this relationship that has been there for so long, and they feel this immense sadness and weep over this relationship. Sometimes we need to weep together in order for healing to come. Sometimes we need to weep together because those tears cleanse us and renew us and allow us to move forward together. Joseph is quick to admit that he's not God. I'm not God. I say this to people all the time. I was just on a Boundary Waters trip, and someone said, well, you could extend a little more grace, Joanna. And I said, I'm not God. I give 5 minutes of grace. God gives eternity. Well, more than, it depends on if it's a meeting or something else. My grace is limited compared to God's. Thanks be to God for that. But he can admit his own pains, his own contributions to these problems, his own failures. And yet, he opens himself to a way of grace. He opens himself up to kindness over being right. He chooses to move toward each other instead of moving away, and he chooses healing over being hurt. He chooses to follow this way of forgiveness, and that is easier said than done, my friends. I once went to a forgiveness seminar, in part because I preached on forgiveness, and a guy came up to me afterwards and said, "Great sermon, how do I do it though?" And so we went away, and we went to this forgiveness seminar for 2 days, and they taught us about how to actually forgive people. And part of it is you put someone, you yell everything you want at a chair, an empty chair. You don't yell at a person. You get it all out, and then you cry the ugly cry, was what we were told. I think they cry the ugly cry here. And then after you've released all of your feelings, all of your pain, all of your hurt, then the last part is to just wish goodwill upon that person. The teacher of this forgiveness workshop was clear in saying, you do not need to be in relationship with that person going forward. If that person is hurting or abusing you or continues to do the things that hurt you and doesn't respect your boundaries, forgiveness does not mean being in relationship, but it does mean that you let go of those hurts, those feelings that really are killing you inside. And you don't have to be like, I want that person to have all the blessings in the world, but you hope for their goodwill, which is easier said than done too if someone's really hurt you. When I look at Joseph and his brothers and their story, I see our own complicated human story. And I see how God keeps leading the way forward, that God works in our messy, complicated families. And God can move us from pits to prison to power and be present in an all. And the clearest way I see God showing up is in this movement of forgiveness and mercy, one of the most difficult things for us to do if we're honest. It is so hard to forgive. And Joseph being willing to say, all of this that I went through, you intended for harm, and yet I can still see how God's goodness, God worked through it, and God brought good into the world. And so I wonder, how do we listen to this story and find our own story? How can we look at our own messy, complicated families and tell the truth? And can we follow God's way of grace and forgiveness and find the pathway forward? Amen. Please stand and let's sing together.
I'm forgiven because you were forsaken. I'm accepted. You were condemned. I'm alive and well. Your spirit is within me because you died and rose again. I'm forgiven because you were forsaken. I'm accepted. You were condemned. I'm alive and well. Your spirit is within me because you died and rose again. Amazing love, how can it be that you, my King, would die for me? Amazing love, I know it's true. It's my joy to honor you. Amazing love, how can it be that you, my King, would die for me? Amazing love, I know it's true. It's my joy to honor you. In all I do, I honor you. You are my King. You are my King. Jesus, you are my King. Jesus, you are my King. Amazing love, how can it be that you, my King, would die for me? Amazing love, I know it's true. It's my joy to honor you. In all I do, I honor you. In all I do, I honor you.
Congregation may be seated. It is with joy that I get to introduce Deb Stang, who will be sharing our generosity moment this morning. Take it away.
Thank you. Good morning. My name My name is Deb Stang, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about the generosity as it's shared at WOW. For those of you who don't know much about WOW, I'll give you a little backstory. In 1995, Jeannie Hellman, many of you know her, Pastor Mark's wife, and Lois Lewis decided to start a women's-only Bible study. Mark had actually started the Bible study group, but when he couldn't make it one week, the girls decided it was more fun and more comfortable without a man in attendance. Hence, WOW! Women on Wednesdays was created. This year, 29 years later, we have 5 groups of women who meet weekly to learn about God, the Bible, each other, and working on their own personal faith. We are all learners at different levels who grow by being together. This year we'll be meeting in small groups 3 Wednesdays a month. And new this year, we will meet as a large group once a month with Pastor Maria facilitating a book study. You don't have to be part of WOW to be part of that. So please see me if you'd like to be included. Now for the generosity piece. Generosity is defined as the spirit and action of freely and frequently giving to others. It's demonstrated frequently at WOW. One day it might be gals sharing their time at Feed My Starving Children or Family Table or Family Promise. It might be seen as a group of women who adopt individuals or families at holiday time with gifts. Maybe it's that one person in your group who finally makes sense of a Bible passage for you. Or it might be a late phone call between members checking up on a woman who's just had devastating medical diagnosis. Or it could be a woman that decides to buy diapers for an expectant WOW member. Not only do women do things on their own, but small groups regularly take parts in service projects too. Generosity is demonstrated all the time, inside the walls of Grace as well as outside. Personally, I have been supported by generous women at WOW when I went through kidney cancer, and then a few years later with breast cancer. My WOW girlfriends were phenomenal with their many gifts of talent and time. I also remember supporting each other. We support each other and their families when someone's journey includes death. Our own members, Carol Potter and Mary Jo Andrusco, were generous members who were lifted in prayer and generosity when they passed away. Wow. Sometimes people think it as women of the world or women of the word, or sometimes for me, women overwhelmed. It's a group that I am blessed to be part of. I've learned a lot about the Bible, about my group members, and most importantly, about myself. If you have questions about WOW, please find me after the service. With God behind us and our girlfriends among us, WOW can be life-changing. WOW. Watch out, world. Here we come.
Thanks, Deb. Our first Wednesday where I'm leading is October 6th, I believe. And so, or maybe it's 9th. Now I'm confusing. It's the 9th. It's the 9th. whatever Wednesday it is that week, October 9th. So if you have time to get away on a Wednesday morning, once a month, we would love to have you. Thank you so much for the many ways that you support the ministries here at Grace. Ministries like Women on Wednesdays. If you brought an offering with you today, you can place it in the woven baskets out in the narthex. You can text the number on the screen or give on our website or scan the QR code in your pew rack. Everything that you give here at Grace goes to further our mission and ministry, so thank you so much. Let us give thanks to God. God of abundance, you generously provide for our every need. Receive our gifts of money, imagination, and labor, and transform them into a feast that welcomes all. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. We continue with the prayers of the church. You, God, work all things for good. We thank you for your powerful vision, and we pray for a glimpse of your bigger picture and for the strength of will to pursue it.
God, it can be hard to see good coming when we are in the pit. You ask us to trust you, and we try, but there's so much wrong, so much injustice, so much hurt, so much strife. We bring before you today all those people whose relationships are fractured, where people are torn apart by envy, greed, hate, power, inequality, and those separated by misunderstanding, miscommunication, and pride. We pray,
Hold us in love.
May your spirit of reconciliation be moving in our world, putting pieces together where we have unraveled. We bring before you today all those who are unequally loved, those who are treated as less than, and those who do not know what to do with their privilege. For all who have been cast out because they were different, and all who have longed for just a crumb while they watch others feast, may your loving kindness be real for them. We pray, hold us
in love.
We bring before you today all those who suffer in famine and drought, those desperate for clean water, and those subsisting on a few grains of dwindling hope. Especially we remember those starving in Yemen, across Africa, and in Gaza. May your spirit of abundance fill those who hunger and thirst in body and spirit, and in solidarity and in help. We pray,
Hold us in love.
For those who are suffering in mind, body, or spirit, make your presence known, O God. We pray especially today for the Lestico family who lost their home in a fire this week. We pray for Samantha Fernandez, Vernetta Paul, Wendy Stetzer, Phyllis Reither, Jay Green, Darlene Gilman, Charles Kohler, Chris Lissy, Barb Tauber, John and Levon Height, Kathy Stoll, Edna, Judy Riley's sister-in-law, Wayne Welly, Debbie Valvaland, Kim Mueller, Mary Jo Trapp, Donna Sorensen, Curtis Bryant, Judy Capon, Robert McClure, Sue Epley, David Richards, Bonnie Wilcox, Tony Isle, Ellie Gustafson Held, Rita Brown, Nora Brascala, Shirley Kirkendall, Brian Morris, Patty Mickelson, Kathy Tillery, Alden Riley, Lana Howell, Larry Heltemus, and Ann Lang. We pray also for those grieving, especially for Darren Yates and family upon the death of his mom, Sandra Yates. Comfort all in their grief. We pray, hold us in love.
We pray you would indeed turn the page and continue your story, where brokenness is healed, community is restored, and the next generation is set free from the grudges of their ancestors until all creation lives in harmony as you intend. We ask these and all things through the power of your Holy Spirit, who enables us to trust you and gifts us for your work. And in the name of Jesus the Christ, who embodies your love and conquers all. Amen. Congregation, I invite you to stand if you are able, as together we join our hearts and minds in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. The peace of the Lord be with you all. And also with you. Let us share a sign of peace with one another.
I was walking the wayside, lost on a lonely road. I was chasing the high life, trying to satisfy my soul. All the lies I believed in left me crying like the rain. Then I saw lightning from heaven, and I've never been the same. I'm gonna climb a mountain, I'm gonna shout about it. I am a child of love. I found a world of freedom, I found a friend in Jesus. I am a child of love. I felt the sting of the fire, but I saw you in the flames. Just when I thought it was over, you broke me out of the grave. I'm gonna climb a mountain, I'm gonna shout about it. I am a child of love. I found a world of freedom, I found a friend in Jesus. I am a child of love. Yeah. Oh, I am a child of love.
Let us go this morning with God's blessing. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make their face shine on you and be gracious unto you. The Lord send you out with peace. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Nothing can change the way